And we're here. Here we are. Here we are. Hi, David.
Hello.
How long have we known each other?
Over a half an hour, easy. Like maybe, well, maybe even more than 45 minutes. I don't know. When did you join VO Heroes?
During the pandemic.
So at least 6 years.
So, yeah, something in the neighborhood of 6 years. Well, probably longer than that because I met you the first time I met you at the SAG-AFTRA Foundation or Conservatory.
Okay.
Because you gave an audiobooks class in
Yeah.
person.
I'm doing another one for the conservatory for their fundraiser coming up in August. So I'm excited about that. I'm doing a new class. Going to be kind of cool.
Yeah. You said for the conservatory?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're doing a live event. They do one every year that raises money for the conservatory and for other SAG-AFTRA supported organizations. And it'll be bright and early Sunday morning. It'll be a church service with David.
Nice.
Which never, ever, ever has happened before.
And probably will never, ever, ever happen again, ever.
Yes.
Yeah. I was inspired. Recently, we streamed Saturday Night, the movie that was made about Saturday Night Live.
Oh, right. Yeah. SNL 50 or SN. Yeah.
It's called Saturday Night.
Okay.
Is the name of the movie. And nowhere in there do they call it Saturday Night Live. Because that happened later. You know, when the thing was being created, it was just called Saturday Night. And when Chevy Chase did the first opener live from New York, it's Saturday Night. That's the name of the show. So I was somewhat inspired when I was creating the link for everybody. This live with you is called Live with DHLXVII. It's Friday Eve.
Okay. Wouldn't Friday Eve be Thursday night?
Oh, technically, yeah, it's Friday evening. It's not Friday night. I don't consider
your
5
heart.
p.m.
Your heart was in the right place.
Yes.
Your intentions were
Absolutely.
good.
Well, you know what intentions do. They pave the road to hell.
Back to the church thing. Okay. All right.
Yes, we've come full circle. Okay, so I did have some questions to ask you.
I got one. Where's everybody watching? Put it in the comments. Tell me where you're watching from. I want to know where people are watching from. Where are people watching from?
That'd be great if we had any viewers.
They may put them in there when it's being shown as a recording. So
it's true. They might. Okay, so
put them in the comments. Let us know.
Where are you tuning in from? Where are you watching this live stream from? Yeah, that is a great question. Yes. I'm new at this whole live streaming thing, and
that's okay. You're doing great.
I've spent the last 45 minutes that we've known each other sorting out the tech and promoting the ever-loving everything out of
You've done great.
Particular thing on all of my platforms, and so far seeing 0 viewers, but that's okay because I got you here, and that's all that matters to me.
Well, I'm ready to answer whatever questions you have.
So yeah. When did you decide that audiobooks were a thing that you wanted to do, and when did you record your first audiobook?
Both happened the same day, because I wasn't aware that, I would have been even considered for audiobooks, but I was living in Washington, D.C., and I believe it was 1989, sometime in 1989, and I got a call from a woman whose name I did not jot down and do not remember because I worked with other people after she reached out, from the Library of Congress. And so that's where I did my first books.
What was your first book?
I don't recall.
Vaguely, roughly, genre-esque.
It was actually a government document.
Okay.
So it wasn't, the Library of Congress has an awful lot of responsibilities aside from gathering at least one copy of any book that is published that they can find, that they can snare for the collection.
Sure.
And some of it is government documentation. And even before there was an ADA, there were several departments, governmental agencies that had internal rules about access for the visually impaired. And so I believe that's the first thing that I did.
So back in '89, it was probably called Books for the Blind or Books on Tape for the Blind.
Well, if you were doing it for the industry, yes, but for Library of Congress, it was called the Library of Congress. And so, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was just like, making, and I don't even know, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, the general product may have been called Books on Tape because tape was actually a thing then.
Yeah.
We were recording on a reel-to-reel tape. We were actually recording on two at one time. And I just would I'd make an appointment to be there from maybe noon until 5 or so, because I
Okay.
was doing mornings at a radio station in DC, and I would get done with the show and do whatever production work I had to do and meet with my program director so he could yell at me about how, I had to do things better in the morning. And then I would go and I would probably grab a breakfast at Bowie Mongers. You know Bowie Mongers, right? Anyway, and then I'd head down to LOC. So,
Okay.
but it's I'll tell you, I would not, in those days, I would not have predicted that the industry had gone all hockey stick the way it has. And it likely wouldn't have gone hockey stick if it were not for the invention of the smartphone and then the apps that are on our smartphones that allow us to go from wanting an audiobook to having and listening to an audiobook within 5 or 10 seconds.
Yeah.
It used to be you had to be on a trip,
Right.
and hit a Hudson News at the airport and pick up, and you had to have a cassette deck,
Yeah.
a Sony Walkman with you or a CD player
Kind of
later on.
way to play your cassette. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's changed quite a bit.
Yeah. So we'll talk about some of those changes, but before we get to that, do you remember what your pay was generally for those first opportunities? Was it commensurate to the other work that you were doing on the radio? And also, how did your voice feel at the end of the day?
My voice was fine.
Okay.
I mean, there's never been a time, and to answer your first question and get it out of the way, I think it was like $58 an hour per finished hour, which in the late 80s was, it wasn't bad.
Good.
Yeah. So audiobooks, when done not the way I teach people to do them at home these days, although that too is a very, languid kind of thing. At no point, this comes up over and over and over again. People look at the final product. It's a 10-hour, a 15-hour, a 20-hour book, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, maybe sometimes a lot more. Shelby Foote, The Civil War. Jerusalem, Simon Vance's 60-hour thing. But it's not like, Simon Vance had to have the intestinal fortitude to sit there for 60 straight hours.
Right.
Who was talking recently? Was I talking? Oh, my friend Elise Bowman, who's an anime voice. We were talking about one of her, she lives in Dallas, and there's a recording studio in Dallas that does audiobooks. And an author came in and said, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I've been practicing, and I can't get through 3 pages without making some sort of mistake. And so people tell themselves all kinds of stories.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you.
Or at them.
Whoever's watching, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you.
Right. I've heard authors and narrators say, I don't have 20 hours to sit there and like, even if they're aware that if you make a mistake, you'll edit it out,
Yeah.
This author wasn't even aware of that.
Right.
But, was so happy when they said, oh yeah, you don't have to worry about it. We'll let you know when you just start from where you made the mistake, and we'll make an edit. Yeah. Right. So, so people, it's one of those areas of performance, like stunts or CGI stuff in Marvel movies where you don't know how it's made, and so you start to tell yourself stories about how it's made.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, you have no idea, especially if you're not in the business and you have no experience with it. You don't understand how it's made. And audiobooks are not made in big, huge, multi-hour, droning,
Right.
draining, intestinal fortitude testing, slogs. They're done a chapter at a time, or even parts of a chapter at a time, and then you take a break.
An hour at a time.
Yeah,
It's
maybe.
acting.
Yeah, whatever works for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, my just to answer your question, my voice was fine at the end of the day.
Okay.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I don't know, I think I may have been talking about something military, but not top secret.
Sure.
I don't know. It was something
The
that,
history of the Marine Corps or
yeah,
something like
I
that.
don't
Yeah.
know. I don't recall what it was, but it was interesting. I know that. And I also knew that there were, in those days, reel-to-reel tapes, cassettes, probably or older than that, transcription discs that had narrations on them. And so
Mm,
I was aware of it. And there were also spoken word records, like
right.
comedy albums.
Sure.
And there was a record that I remember that was just fascinated me, that Albert Brooks put out with Georgie Jessel, called Comedy Minus One. And on the album, you would put the record on your turntable, and then on the back of the album was a script. And you were the funny guy, and Albert Brooks and Georgie Jessel were your straight men, and you had to time the lines so perfectly. And if you did, the audience would laugh. Georgie
Right.
Jessel and Albert Brooks would do lines with you. So I was fascinated with the whole world. At the time, I was a morning guy in radio. I'd been doing that for about a decade or more. And so everything about the world of audio was fascinating to me. And this was one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
That was also, I was about a year into my career as an IVR artist. My sole client at the time was America Online. I was doing work for them all week long.
Right.
And so, it was just fun. It was like, how did I step into this lovely world of stuff,
Yeah.
audio stuff,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. So, how long did you record books for the blind for the Library of Congress before
Well,
you started recording for somebody else, and or how long recording in someone else's studio before you started recording at home?
so recording at home didn't happen until the late 90s, early 2000s.
Okay.
And
That's not that long, though. I mean, if you started in 89, that's not.
yeah, about a decade or so.
Okay.
And it was because the tech wasn't as good as it could have been or should have been. It
Sure.
wasn't as inexpensive as it became.
Sure.
And so, and I don't know. I think I stopped working for the Library of Congress when they stopped calling. I'd thrown so many tantrums in the main library. I busted up the joint a few times. I was drunk as a
Sure.
skunk.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I think that maybe the people that knew me moved on to other jobs or something. I don't know. And I was really busy. I had started doing a syndicated radio show, and I think there may have been a couple of times when I said, I really wish I could do this, but I'm not available. And so they were like, okay. Anyway, but then it
And then
picked
you
up.
also got some on-camera work, right?
Well, not
Here
until
and
I
there?
moved here.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, the truth is,
Right.
if you can find me, I'm in several movies that were shot in the Delmarva area, the Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, DC
Okay.
area, but only because for the same reason that, like, we're shooting this live on the eve of the 4th of July weekend. When I lived in Washington, D.C., and I was working in morning radio, I knew that I would be working either on the Mall or at the Kennedy Center or someplace. One year it was the Ford Theater, narrating something around the holidays. And the only reason they booked me for that, aside from the fact that they knew I could do it, was that they wanted me to promote it on my radio show.
Right.
You know, they did that with other people as well.
Sure.
That you know, I wasn't a shock jock.
Yeah.
So, you know, like they wouldn't hire Don and Mike to do it, or they wouldn't hire the Grease Man or Howard Stern, but they felt safe
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah.
So, and then right in the middle of the Declaration of Independence, the recital that I was doing, I got to the word usurpation and I dropped the F-bomb. It was great. Okay, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. So, but
How
then I
many?
moved, to answer your question, I moved here in 2003
Okay. Oh, me
and
too.
started doing training in on camera stuff, because I'd never really done, other than those rare moments where they would have me do like a walk-on part in a movie, or maybe just do crowd thing.
Sure.
I decided, you know, let's become a student and figure out how to do this well.
Yeah.
Learn how the business works. I interned at probably 15 or 20 different agencies and management places and casting offices, and you know, I wanted to see how the sausage was made.
Sure.
And you know, all the while I was doing my radio show, I was doing audiobooks here and there, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I answered your question.
I've forgotten what it was anyway.
You said, but you also did some on camera stuff, and I didn't do
Yeah.
any on camera stuff until
Until you got here.
2008.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you, I like to know that I know what I know. So when there's
Are you comfortable with not knowing what you don't know?
Oh, I'm perfectly comfortable with not knowing what I don't know. But when there's something that I want to know that I know, I want to know that I know what I know. So, for instance, when I moved out here in 2002, I didn't know how to start an acting career. I had a degree in theater, but I had no idea about the business, and I couldn't find the courses that I needed, or get with production companies as a PA or casting offices as an intern. I couldn't figure out how to do that. So I went into admin. I was an office manager, whatever. And I lost a job to bankruptcy. The company went bankrupt. And at that point, I decided, well, if I'm going to have to support myself outside of the industry, I'm going to be a bartender. And in order to be a bartender, I needed to go to bartending school, because I knew if I got a job as a wait person, as a server, I'd never get to learn how to be a bartender.
Mhm.
And I knew that the money in food service is not in food, it's in liquor.
Okay.
So I went to bartending school so that I could know that I know what I know.
And that was here in the Los Angeles area?
That was here
Oh,
in the Los Angeles area, in North Hollywood. And after I graduated from that little course, I was sent out on private parties, and that's how I got my SAG card, from a private party.
because you met somebody who booked you on something?
Yep.
Cool.
Because it's not what you know, and it's not who you know, it's who knows you. The hostess was looking at me and saw I could fill a need for her.
Nice.
So she made it possible for me to be on set and learn how to do what a stand-in does.
That's great.
And I got my SAG card less than a year and a half in
Great.
town. But it's because I want to know that I know what I know.
Yeah.
Which leads me to ACX Masterclass.
Okay.
Because VO Heroes and ACX Masterclass, they're both your babies. And you have had a huge influence on my audiobook career, on my VO career in general, but specifically audiobooks, because that's where I've landed. And had I not taken either of your two courses, I wouldn't know that I know what I know, and I wouldn't be 25 plus books in. So that was my next question for you, is how many books do you have that you've created? How many audiobooks have you self-published on ACX?
Well, I've recorded, I don't know exactly how many on ACX, but
Okay.
between ACX and also working for other platforms, other publishers,
Sure.
other producers, close to 300. But the number that's really I'm much more proud of than that is the number of audiobooks that students and graduates of the course like you have done. And you have done over 25. I don't know what
Right.
the exact number is. You won't share that with the world.
I
Um,
don't know the exact number either. I know it's more
yeah,
than 25.
yeah. You know, of the people that have come through the class, and my other platform, uh, you guys are all responsible for over 10,000 titles.
Yeah.
10,000 titles. And I don't know that I would be aware of that if I hadn't set my VA off to do what I thought was going to be a pretty quick thing, and that is to type in the search bar on Audible the name of each of my students
Right.
and everybody who's ever been through the class.
Right.
And we're about to do the 26th edition of the ACX Masterclass. We started doing it in 2014, in the winter of 2014. And so here we go, 26 versions of it later, and it's grown quite a bit. It's kept up with the industry. It's got the latest information. We've found things that a lot of people don't teach that are really helpful to students, like how to talk with, to deal with rights holders, how to manage that process, messaging professionally. You
Sure.
know, a lot of people are just, they're talent, and they're not, you know, they're not producers necessarily.
Yeah.
We show you how to not only narrate audiobooks, but also produce them, because that's what's required on ACX.
What
So 10,000.
major changes have happened since the beginning 5 or 10 classes? Like, what can you know that have been
Sure.
improved in the class since the first few years to now?
I would say the biggest thing is the way the business has continued to grow. It
Okay.
has done a couple of things in a positive direction, a couple of things in a negative direction. And the negative direction, I can get this out of the way. There's a bunch of scams on ACX, and we added content to the training that helps you identify and also avoid wasting your time and your effort, even your energy, in telling people to F off when they try to get you to engage in a scam project on ACX. The problem of ACX is also the advantage of ACX. The advantage of ACX is it doesn't cost you anything to be on there. You don't have to have any level of expertise to be on there. It's a great place to both make a living and also learn to make a living. So the lack of any sort of speed bumps to get on ACX, whether you're a narrator or you're a rights holder,
Author.
means anybody can be on ACX, including people
Right.
who don't have your best interests at heart, don't have the
Right.
best interests of copyright holders at heart. And so we show you how to do that. The positive things were things. The one thing that sticks out for me is something that we had started teaching even before ACX offered it, and that is when ACX first started in 2011. They wanted to get the flywheel moving on getting projects going. They wanted to kickstart things and you know, sort of give it a boost. So they drafted some people who knew what they were doing. I was fortunate enough to be one of those first few Audible approved producers that beta tested the platform. And they were adding what they called a stipend to what were royalty share books, meaning you share the royalties as those royalties are earned when the book sells. I love that whole thing, you know, taking part in the success as well as being responsible for your part in whatever lack of success there might be to make it better as time goes on. And so they would not only pay a certain royalty for each copy of the book sold, but they would also pay you. ACX, Audible, Amazon would give you money for the length of the book at a reduced rate, like $100 per finished hour. If you were an Audible approved producer, it was $150 per finished hour. And in 2011, that was actually even higher than the SAG-AFTRA rates, and ACX didn't have a SAG-AFTRA contract. SAG-AFTRA didn't even merge until 2012, if I'm recalling things correctly. So
2009?
maybe, okay, if you say
So?
so. But there was no contract yet. There will be. There would be, and
Right.
but we had been saying in the ACX Masterclass, okay, well, look, you're here because you're already an actor, you're already a voice talent. We attracted people who already had some experience in the business. We attracted our share of people who were side grading from other businesses, like customer service people or
Mm-hmm.
doctors or lawyers or salespeople. You know, we had all kinds of people that would come in, but mostly it was actors.
Sure.
And so, going back to the fact that ACX has there's no barrier to entry.
Right.
uh you know, when you, as a trained actor, a trained storyteller, would audition for something on ACX, as opposed to somebody who has no experience whatsoever and sounds like it, you stick out like a sore thumb. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
They want you, you know.
Right.
So we would say, okay, well, you have some power there. You have some negotiating power there. Let them know that if they didn't want to pay you on a per finished hour basis, because that was an option as well, and you'd prefer that, say, hey, let's do a hybrid stipend where instead of ACX paying you a certain amount of money per hour, the rights holder would pay a certain amount of money per hour. And we showed you how to negotiate that. Well, ACX eventually stopped after a few years offering any sort of stipend projects. They kept it as an option, but they never actually took advantage of it. And they haven't even removed it from the process at this point. They keep threatening that someday they might bring it back, but they haven't. What they have done is they created a third category of how projects can be structured, called Royalty Share Plus, which was
Yeah.
exactly what we were teaching people to do. The
Right.
rights holder agrees to not only share the royalties with you on an equal basis and based on how many copies of the book that sells, the audiobook that sells, but also they would give you a certain amount of money per finished hour in addition to those royalty share rates. And we
Yeah.
were like, huh, I wonder where they heard about that.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what's changed. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And the latest change that you've made is adding um, the latest change to the class that you've added is the live workouts. But before I touch, we want to talk about that. But I have used personally Royalty Share Plus as a negotiating tool to get contracts with at least two of my rights holders.
Great.
I've yes, I have more than 25 books, but I don't have 25 different rights holders. I'm one of the very lucky few that manages to find a rights holder who has a library. And so I get to record every book in that author's library. And some of my rights holders, my current rights holder, like you were saying, when they hear my voice, they know that I'm a trained actor. I stand out above the crowd, the rabble of people who are not trained actors. And their communication with me is, I would love to hire you, but I can't afford you. And so I say, would you consider sharing royalties and paying this much per finished hour up front, but letting Audible take care of the rest? And they were like, boom, done.
Yeah.
So my current rights holder, I'm wrapping up book 3 of our first 3-book series. And when we contracted for that first series, I said, if you want me beyond that series, let's renegotiate at that point.
Great.
We have already renegotiated my contract for book 4. I'm under contract for book 4.
That's great. Yeah, I remember when I first started listening. You're talking about the Project Mira.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first one. Yeah, I remember listening to it and thinking, this is a book that is giving the author full permission to sound like AI wrote it, because it's about AI.
Yeah.
If I counted 400 constructions of a sentence along the lines of, it's not this, it's that.
Yeah.
Which is such a tell of AI structure, but it fits with the content of the book, which, if you haven't done it, you should go check it out. It's called Project Mira. And it's great. It's great. And the tale that is told in it fits your voice perfectly. your characterizations of the sort of Elon Musk with a heart character that works with the AI life force in the book. The way those are delineated, just excellent. I could go on and on, but the joy that I get when I see one of my students, one of the graduates from the ACX Masterclass, being successful is just boundless. It's boundless. I sit there and I giggle, as I'm launching the app, the Audible app, and I see your name and I see that it's a X number of hours book and I have completed this number of hours and I've got this number of hours left. Somebody that thought the ACX Masterclass was valuable enough to attend and paid attention to and put to work. I'm just so happy. And I'm so happy for you and for your rights holder.
Yeah, we're having fun. So let's talk about AI. Since we brought up Mira, and we talk about AI.
Yep.
The big comment that we hear from people who are not in our world: AI is taking your jobs. AI is coming for your jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you, David, in your position as both an audiobook narrator, but also other worlds of VO, also other on-camera actor and a coach, and all of the things that you do in your entertainment life, what's your response to that?
Well, first of all, I think it's a multi-pronged issue. There's good, there's bad. I think technology in general is best regarded every single time you encounter a new piece of technology, regard it as neutral, and then pay attention to how it's being used. Because every piece of technology can be used for good, for bad. Email, kind of, it's just email, but it can be used to steal your identity. It can be used to phish for your credentials. It can be used to let you know you've booked a gig. There's lots of really cool things that can happen with technology. If the artificial part of it bothers you, I'd like to point out something to you that might make you uncomfortable. If you are dead set against using anything in terms of AI to handle post-production, some cases there are tools that let you, identify edit points and mend things. We teach you how to do something that's so easy manually that you don't need AI. It's actually faster than trying to manage AI's behaviors. AI makes I call it assumptive intelligence sometimes, because it makes all kinds of assumptions that you have to correct.
Right.
11 Labs, which is probably one of the biggest incursors into the world of synthetic voices that come from generative AI.
Yeah.
They've had to do some awful quick control creation in terms of things that they call emotion tags. If you want the voice to sound sad, and how sad, well, you work with that. You go, but in the end, you can use AI, and in some cases it's cheaper, but the amount of time that you'll spend doing it to get a product that's as good as what a human can do, or as quickly as a human can adjust, it can be really expensive. So, but the one thing that I wanted to point out is that if you are so set against it in the post-production world, I never would use AI for content creation. That I just wouldn't do. It's not, I'm on several committees with the union that we recognize that this is an existential threat to our future existence, our careers and so on. And I'll come back to that in just a moment. But there are people who draw the line a lot closer to absolutely nothing whatsoever, because I don't want anything artificial entering into the process that I use to create my art. So content formation, content creation, solving the blank page problem. I don't know what to write. Maybe I'll have AI give me, have it write me a draft. Nope, not going to do that.
Yeah.
But if you're using AI to take what you've created and mend it or enhance it, or not the words, but the sound. I'd just like to point out that since I've been alive, I've never had a situation where the final audience that's heard something that I originally recorded in a studio heard the version of what I recorded in the studio as the final product. There
Right.
were errors that were cut out. There
Right.
was EQ that was added to make my voice sound a different way. There was reverb that might have been added. There was compression. There was noise gating. There was, who knows, a phone EQ applied. All of those are artificial.
Yeah.
And when you recorded that first thing, you made mistakes that the audience never heard. Those were artificially removed. You're okay with that? You're okay with the EQ? You're okay with the reverb? You're okay with the compression? Well, then why aren't you okay with yet another tool that does the same thing, that helps you end up with a better final product, leaving some stuff on the editing room floor? And when people are presented with that, they go, oh, okay, well, I still hate it. Okay, I understand. I get
Right.
it. But here's the other thing. Well, actually, it's two things. I think what AI has done has actually expanded the entire base of content that is being offered for consumption to projects that might never even have been considered or produced if there wasn't a really, really inexpensive or free option, because human beings cost money.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the projects that you're going to be encountering, especially as a professional performer, are going to be based, whether they're taken up by AI or taken up by humans, is going to be based on the amount of money that can be spent on the talent. And for those projects that there just isn't enough money, or there's too much work for one talent to do, like doing a weather forecast service or a time service or whatever in all the markets all around the world, nobody could possibly do that, but you could record pieces that would go into that. It's going to be based on budget, and it's going to be based on time. And the bigger brands, the brands that we all are working for today, are likely going to continue to use humans because they want the human touch. They want the beautiful imperfection of the human touch. And there's actually a category of voiceover that has been dealing with this for a long, long time, a lot longer than the mid 2000 teens, when AI kind of first reared its ugly head, and became a bit of a competitor to human work. And that is the category of IVR.
I knew that's where you were
IVR,
going.
yeah,
IVR.
yeah, IVR, which is when you call up a company and you get a recorded announcement, or a program that you can play with on your phone with the buttons to help you get your balance or to find a location or whatever. IVR, I've been doing IVR since the 80s. And since the 80s, there's been the option of using computer synthesized voices at
Yeah.
no charge. At no
Right.
charge. It's built into a number of server software packages like Asterisk and digital and all that. So that has been an option for a long time, but companies don't want to sound like that. They want to
Right.
sound like ML
A human
or
being.
me, you know?
Yeah.
And so, because that's the case, I think a lot of people are super worried about it. The union that we both are a member of, their mission is to protect the opportunities that the members have for work. And so they're very concerned about it, as they should be. And they're
Hmm.
also very concerned that the potential work that we get, and the biggest category of work that people can see from the outside as being attacked by AI, is audiobooks. And Audible offers an AI option. ACX offers an AI option. Most of the big publishers would rather put sharp sticks in their eyes than use AI. Although there have been some recent stories that have come out about not only narration being AI based, but also the writing of the book by the author being either written or edited with AI. There was a recent a book that came out by a Nobel laureate that was pulled from distribution because they found out that a lot of the content was AI created. And the author's like, I didn't use AI. My editor must have used AI. I don't know, but these things are going to start happening. There's going to be little bugaboos like this, but it is hardly the sky is falling that some people would think. There are people who immediately look at this and go, "We're done. We're done. We shouldn't even pursue this anymore." And I don't know. I have not experienced this year less work than I've experienced before. I've narrated 6 books already this year, and that's one more book than I usually get to by the middle of the year. And I've had to say no more this year to potential opportunities than I have for the last 3 or 4 years in a row. And that's when the big boom started happening because of people working at home. So,
Right.
a long-winded way of saying, yes, it's an issue, and it'll get better and better and better. And maybe someday the rules will be a little bit different, and maybe the comfort level that people have as an audience. That's the other thing. If you look at the reviews that AI narrated books are getting on Audible,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
a little
I
cringeworthy.
I was in a conversation with someone recently, may just even have been yesterday, and I've lost time, but where the audience for audiobooks, if they were as persuasive a lobby as whatever the lobby is for preventing deep fakes for politicians, the people who are concerned with AI creating a copy of them and having it say things that they never said, and presenting a completely different point of view.
Mm-hmm.
If they're going to make laws about that, then it should cover audiobooks too. And if
So the No Fakes law does that. The No Fakes
Okay.
Act covers not only audiobooks, but all creation,
Great.
voiceover, writing, filming, video, anything that is covered by copyright, they want covered with the No Fakes Act. And at the very least, if something is created by AI, that it occurs with the consent of the original human on which it's modeled.
Right.
And also compensation, credit, that sort of thing. And so, there are a lot of people who are working on making sure that we're protected. Karen Gilfrey is a great example, who has licensed her voice. Because with her consent and for the right compensation and with the right credit,
Right.
it is no different from being a model for stock photography.
Sure.
With all the attendant problems that has, there are stock photography models who very, very clearly have misgivings about deciding to do that. There's an Asian gentleman in San Francisco who appears in almost every online dating app project. He's just got this older silver fox look that the ladies love. And he's like, I can't get a date. They think I'm the guy that's in the app, and I'm getting late all the time, and blah, blah, blah. So I do want to mention tinyurl.com/ACXMC4ever. I just want to mention that because it's a link you might want to take advantage of. If all of this stuff is interesting to you, important to you, if you thought, I'd love to do audiobook narration, but I don't know who to go to for the right training, the depth of training, things like that, you might want to consider that URL that you see on your screen. It's right over here. As opposed to this thing, which is like constantly hitting me in the head. So
yeah. It's brushing your forehead. tinyurl.com ACXMC4ever is my affiliate link. Yes, I'm an affiliate for the course that David has co-created how many years ago? Since 2014?
2014, yeah.
Since 2014. So 26 iterations of this course, and it's taught twice a year?
Usually we always we want to be safe about our announcements about these things. We never plan more than one in advance. And we've had a demand for it every 6 months or so. So this one in particular is called the home study version, because we know people are doing stuff in the summertime. They're going on vacation. They have family things. The weather's nice usually. And so, they have recreational things that distract them, a lot of holidays and so on. So what we do is we set the course up so that, yes, you can take it as we deliver new content, and we deliver new content every day. every
Sure.
weekday throughout the entire month of July. And so you can take that stuff as it comes out every day, or if you've got some time in there that you're going on a cruise and you need to catch up with it afterwards, it's available to you forever. So you can take it at your own pace. That's
Right.
the point. But the one thing that we do during each of the courses, the wintertime or the summertime, and we just started doing this about a year ago after doing it kind of in the second couple of weeks, we now do one night that is nothing but performance coaching from me. And I'm just going to ask you, ML, do you feel like, and I know this is like a softball question, but do you feel like when I give you feedback on your performance, that it helps you be a better narrator?
Absolutely. When you get coached on your acting, or you get coached on your storytelling, or you get coached on, like, if you misread a word or a person's name and someone corrects you, it's just a little thing to add to your brain pocket and correct right there in the moment, and those brain cells get less smooth. You're fluffing out the wrinkles of your brain when you get coached in any aspect. And I love the workouts that I get to participate in the other community. But if I were joining the ACX Masterclass right now, I would adore the fact that there's live coaching available.
Yeah.
Especially because you've got, each week is a different genre.
Yeah. The first
And
week
that's
is
amazing.
classics.
Okay.
The second week is nonfiction. So if you want to do historical, works, if you want to do political work, if you want to do business, self-help, second week is your jam. Third week is fiction in general. And then the fourth week, we're going to take clips from the best-selling books of 2025. We don't know what the best-selling books of 2026 are going to be. We'll feature those if we do the class next year. But we want to give you a really wide assortment.
And so you provide copy?
Yeah.
Or you just provide the genre and say, find something in this genre?
No, we provide copy. We want you to pick so that people can follow along. We show it on the screen and you read from the screen. And we do so number one, to sort of control the length as well as the content that we're providing.
Sure.
But at the same time, we want to give people a pretty large variety of things to choose from.
Yeah.
So so we have that, and it's a newish thing, and it's the most well-received thing that we've added to the course. We've taken what was a week 2 and week 3 kind of an hour or two long thing, because usually people that come to us have some performance background. But what we found is that it really helps to understand how it feels to perform audiobook work as opposed to commercial work or animation work or documentary narration work or IVR work or explainer video work or even on camera work. And how to draw from those categories that actors and voice talent may already be experienced in and adjust them for the intimate world of audiobook narration.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's phenomenal. I can't wait to participate in that at some point. At some point, I will. So registration closes at 9 p.m. tonight, Pacific.
Yeah, this is a last minute sort of presentation. I know it's not a lot of time, but yeah, we close the doors 9 p.m. Pacific on the dot. If you go there at 9:01, you'll get a message saying registration is closed. Join our list to be notified the next time we have the class, if we have the class. And so, yeah, if you want to do this, if this is something that you're thinking like, wow, yes, go do it now. Don't wait. Go follow the URL that you see there on your screen. You might want to put the URL in the chat. In the comments.
In the chat. It's the very first comment in the chat.
Oh, repeat it. Repeat it. People will scroll way beyond that. Yeah.
Yeah, man. All the comments have been mine, but yeah. So registration closes in 3 hours, and so if you're watching the replay, click on the link anyway and put yourself on the mailing list. And there's also a payment plan, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's not an insignificant amount of money to pay for this class. And what we've heard over and over and over again is you guys don't charge enough, even though it's a lot of money, because
It's
of
an
what you
investment
get.
in your career.
Yeah, because of what you get
It is
and for
very
how
much an
long you
investment in
get
your
it.
career. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a community involved here as well of all those people that I talked about before that are responsible for at least those 10,000 plus titles. By the way, we think it's more than 10,000 titles, and we're pretty sure of that because we don't know when people record spicy stuff
Right.
under a pseudonym.
Right.
We don't
It's
know
all
what
right.
any
I
of
don't
those
know
are.
what my number is.
Yeah. So we don't know, but we
My
do
number can
know that.
easily be well above 30, but it's not well above 50 yet.
Okay.
But yeah, we don't know what the right number is because there are pseudonyms in place for when you don't want the name that you're known by to be found in that other way.
I'm just gonna out you here. I know your spicy pseudonym as opposed to ML. It's MM as in. Mm.
That would be 3 M's, David.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Or 4, since 4 is my favorite number.
So yes, there is a payment plan, and it's a 3 payment plan once a month for 3 months. And truthfully, the community that you're joining when you join the ACX Masterclass, yes, we think the content, the instructional content, is bar none the best you could possibly get. But the support that you get from the other people that are in your class, you'll eventually be placed in the permanent mastermind group, which is everybody who's ever taken the class, and you will recognize some names that are Audio Award nominees, Audio Award winners, Golden Voice winners, Earphone Award winners, people that are very, very active in other communities on the social media networks and in the audiobook space. I love that whenever I go to a session with the committees that I'm on, there's always a few people in there who've taken the class and have gone on to really big things. And so I'm really proud of that. I'd love to be your mentor if you want to learn how to do audiobooks. So follow ML's link and
in case you're difficulty reading for whatever reason, print is not your bag. It is https://tinyurl.com/ACXMC, the number 4 ever. Yeah.
I have nothing to add to that.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time, David. I always appreciate your time. I love chatting with you, even when we're just, hanging out at our local pub. If you live
Amel and her husband.
If you live in Burbank, you get to hang out with David on a monthly-ish basis.
Yeah, even if you're not in Burbank, if you have a car, we love seeing you and your husband show up at the meetup that happens. Not my meetup.
No, it's not.
But it's somebody else's meetup. But we kind of like invade it, and it's great. They welcome us, but
Yeah.
So yeah, thank
So
you.
this
Thank
is
you
the
for having me.
vibe that you get if you join us. If you join the ACX Masterclass, this is what you can expect. I love that
Thank you so much.
I love that it's 4 weeks of education. You can be there present every day, or you can do it at your own pace. And if you just want to do it at your own pace, but join in those live workouts, you can. You'll have access to it forever. It's all amazing.
Great.
It's all amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
All
Thanks,
right.
everybody. If you're watching, if you have watched, if you are watching later, whatever, thanks. Bye.